Welcome back, WNST, Tassel, Baltimore. We call it Baltimore Positive these days. Big shout out to our friends at Strategic Factory for making the good-looking swag. My cat is digging the shoestrings on it and getting after me here. Appreciation for Luke Jones staying up late on Monday night and up early on Tuesday in the aftermath of what was a Lamarvelous evening in the land of Cleve. Dennis Koulatsos will be selling cars from now right on up until 3 o'clock on Thursday. You'll come on in here and do a little sports radio, drive you home, get you ready on Sunday for a rare, all too rare 1 p.m. Sunday kickoff. Dennis, that was something on Monday night. I don't know where to begin or end with all of it. What is it? 47, 42, 89 points, right? And what happened with the push on the spread at the end, Lamar, the locker room, the IV, they're coming out. Where do you begin other than to say that they're not going to make another one like Monday night?
You know what? It had that and much, much more, Nestor. The game had everything. And I think the best thing is I got a lot of tweets and texts from friends of mine who had checked out of the NFL for a number of reasons, the knee, etc. This was a game that brought back a lot of passionate Ravens fans, right? So this is the game I think it's polarizing the Ravens nation to, I think that's the greater good that's going to come out of a performance like that, an epic performance. I've been watching the NFL since 1973, Nestor. That game was way up there in terms of exciting games that I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, it had everything you could possibly ask for and then some.
Yeah, I mean, the snow game anniversary, the 7-year anniversary was like last week, right? So I found the pictures of me and my wife and building snowmen in the upper deck. And, the Ravens are doing this throwback 25 years or 25 memories and selling advertising. And Sandusky put a suit on, hanging out on the club level, doing the whole deal, right? Luke put his together this summer in the middle of COVID. I've never really done that, right? Like, I've been to 1,000 concerts. Nobody's ever said, what's the best one? Or what's the best interview I've ever done? Or I don't know, what's the best album ever made? I don't think like that. But I think about there's the ones that are memorable. And over 25 years times 16 games every year, 17, 18, 19 games some of the years, right? And Super Bowl championships and, writing books on Tampa and the parade in New Orleans and all the things we've done. The Denver game, there'll never be anything like the Mile High Miracle for me. But I go back to being in Nashville when Ray Lewis took the ball from Eddie George. But regular season games, I mean, the playoff wins are just a different level. They're times 10, quite frankly. And the losses are times 10 too. When you miss a field goal to Billy Cundiff or you lose to the Colts back in 06 here, that terrible game there that broke all of our hearts with Steve McNair. But winning a game in an unlikely way where there's drama unlike any other kind of drama. I mean, the quarterback was taking IVs in the locker room, right? The backup quarterback was the third-string quarterback was writhing in pain. So when I write Purple Rain 3, Dennis, in the spring, this is right up there with the Ray Rice 4th and 29 chapter, right? Which was another incredible game, right? And Ray Lewis shooting the gap and making the play. I mean, there's been all of these kind of plays. This one's in its own box because we played Cleveland 50 times, and this is the only really good one, right?
Yeah, we can argue a lot of things, but Nestor, this had to be the best NFL game this year, right? For the scoring, the drama, the referees factoring in the wide receiver one for the Ravens dropping some easy passes, right? The 7 fumbles by the Browns. It just goes on and on. Missed field goals, the extra points, and then Justin Tucker, right, with a 55-yarder with 2 seconds left. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I mean, this game had everything you'd ever want as a fan, right? So I imagine that if you were a non-partial fan, if you didn't have a dog in the fight, if you weren't rooting for the Ravens or the Browns, for entertainment value, this game had to be way up there. And I haven't seen a game this year that I enjoyed as much as this one. I mean, this one had all the chills and thrills, and unfortunately, there had to be a loser. But fortunately for Ravens Nation, it wasn't the Ravens. They came out victorious. The game meant a lot more to the Ravens than the Browns. Of course, the Ravens now are 8-5 and in pretty good position for making the postseason. Browns dropped to 9-4, of course, but man, oh man, what a game that everybody's buzzing about, right? That's the whole thing. There's buzz around his team now. Lamar looks like MVP Lamar, by the way. He's attacking, he's not sliding, he's looking to score now on every play, and that's a dangerous man heading into the final stretch here, the stretch run towards the playoffs.
Well, there's no doubt that they've changed the way they're playing and the style they're playing. And I said to Luke, I said, it's one thing for him to be running into linebackers in must-win games in late December. It's a different thing for him to be running into linebackers in week 2 or 3 in Houston or something like that, right? Like, I think as the stakes get higher, you're willing to take more risks in the middle of the field to dive head first to get that first down because you need to, and this is December, and that's what we're going to do. For the team itself, as constructed, and I remember the night that Ronnie Stanley afternoon Ronnie Stanley went down, I had some Pizza John's pizza in the oven. I got up, I got my mitts on. I turned to my wife with my mitts. I'm like, we can't win a Super Bowl without Ronnie Stanley. And here we are, 6 weeks later, whatever, Nick Boyle's gone. We've had the losing streak. We've had the incredible COVID thing. Most of the guys are at least coming back. I mean, I saw Calais Campbell struggling for air, and I know he's asthmatic. We saw Lamar Jackson getting IVs. Who knows the aftermaths of this illness, right? But I start to think now with these 3 games, and I don't want to call these preseason games, Dennis. I don't want to be disrespectful to a Giants team that just beat the Seahawks 2 weeks ago. But I just want to say if you're going to be anything in life, you're going to win these 3 games, right? Like, you're not going to let the New York Giants end your season next week at home, right? So knowing that they're going to do what they do professionally, which is win these games in whatever fashion they win them in, however they do it, I think the most paramount thing that happens here is that they find their offensive line, attack defensively far better than they did in allowing 42 points to Baker Mayfield, but basically figure out who's going to be playing where whenever they land on January the 9th or 10th in Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, wherever it's going to be, wherever they're going to wake up that morning and they're going to play football. They need to be as healthy as possible and be functioning with what they have now. Not with Ronnie Stanley, not with Nick Boyle, not with Marshall Yanda, not with what they wanted to be in the offseason or what they think Devin Duvernay might be one day or Prochet or any of these the pieces of this. What Bowser is, whatever Jalen Ferguson might be, where Judon is in all of this, they need to be the best version of themselves the first week of January, because all of this means nothing if they're ragamuffin, beaten up, COVIDed up, and sick and not good on January 9th and 10th. They need to win playoff games, and they need to look at these games as full preparation and safety to some degree. Lamar has to be healthy and ready to play on January 9th. And I don't want to get cocky and say they have to line up their pitching rotation for October, but it feels to me like that's really the strategy here the next 3 weeks. You can't lose these games, and you want to play well, but the penalties, the sloppiness, the missed assignments, guys running in pasture in the secondary, Marcus Peters playing sometimes, that's got to all end.
Well, it really does. They have a lot of things to clean up, but hey, they're getting healthy at the right time. They're playing the right teams at the right time. You're talking about a schedule. They don't have to finish up against the Chiefs, the Saints and maybe the Steelers, right? They're playing 3 poor teams. They're expected to win in those games. They'll be favored to win those games, Nestor. And you're right. All these things they have to clean up, and they have time to do so. But for me as a fan, I'd like to see them get in the playoffs. I'd like to see them get that first playoff win under Lamar Jackson's direction, right? So the narrative again before the Browns was Lamar couldn't bring a team back. He couldn't win a big game. He's won the big game. He's brought him back, right? I don't know what else this young man there's left for him to do except win a playoff game. And when you win one, then you stack another one, and hopefully it results with an appearance in the Super Bowl. Because to me, any team other than the Kansas City Chiefs, the Ravens could hang with. And I don't know if there's another team in the league that can really play with the Chiefs. I think they're on a whole different level. They can certainly have a bad day, but this team can make noise in the playoffs. Let's get them there. Let's get that first win, right? So that way Lamar will cease to be 0-2 in the playoffs. At least get to 1-2 and hopefully 2-2. And from that point on, anything can happen, right? So it's a one-game series. It's not the best of seven, and they'll give themselves the best chance to progress and move forward in those playoffs.
What'd you make of the Browns? I mean, that's the kind of game that steps the rivalry right up to another level where we say, all right, there are big games, and this is how another Browns-Ravens game finds its way onto Sunday Night Football next year.
Well, the Browns are still a poor organization and will remain so until further notice, Nestor. They remind me of the Jacksonville Jaguars a few years ago, and all of a sudden, all those number one draft picks came together, and unfortunately for the Ravens, it was in a game across the pond, right? So when you keep finishing at 4-12, 6-10, 5-11, 2-14, you're going to accumulate all those number one draft picks, and you're going to have a lot of talent. And at some point, somebody will come in there, like Kevin Stefanski, who's able to put it all together. The only question is, how long can the Browns flash, right? They're just like the Cincinnati Bengals. They accumulate the wealth of those high draft picks, and at some point, those picks do come together. But organizationally speaking, until further notice, they're still the Browns and will be so until they get new ownership. That's my opinion.
I'll say this. I'm glad Baker Mayfield's not my quarterback. I don't dig the act. I just don't. And I've seen all the personalities of these quarterbacks, and when I measure them 10 years in and $150 million in, whoever they are, because they all get paid that, right? If they can play it all, Cam Newton's got his money. Jameis Winston's got his money. Matt Ryan's got his money. Derek Carr's got his money. They all have their money, and then you'd have to say, who do I want to go play with? I would play with Aaron Rodgers. I would play with Drew Brees. I would play with Ben Roethlisberger. At various points, your Andy Daltons and your Jared Goffs and your maligned guys, and then you have your Kyler Murrays and I guess Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jacksons, which are, to me, they run into linebackers. That always worries me. It's a whole different level of that. I don't know where Baker Mayfield fits in all of that. I don't know what his best skill set is. I think he's a rallying point, right? I think he's got leadership qualities about him that are unique to him and sort of free form and sort of, different and new age, and that's cool. I mean, that's all good. It's just not my act. I don't like the act.
Well, and they have a lot of talent around Baker Mayfield. Make no mistake about it. And that offense, with that offensive line, with the wealth of talent at running back, at receiver, at tight end, those skilled players can make, and that offensive line can make almost any quarterback look good. So if Baker doesn't progress, if they somehow miss the playoffs, or if they're one and done, it's not a stretch that they move away from him in the offseason. For all the reasons you just stated, he just doesn't seem to be a good leader of men. He's barely 6 feet tall. How many times did the Ravens bat the ball down in every game and every time they play against him? And I'm sure it happens when he plays against other teams. But with to your point, he's not my cup of tea. And
they think you're going to win a Super Bowl with him. I mean, he's a number one overall pick, right? So I don't put him in that category. I don't see him as. And, I don't see Lamar as a number one overall pick. I see Lamar as a project guy that they've built around, and he does a lot of things well. Whether he's ever going to throw the ball really well, whether he's going to ever go out and win football games by throwing 40 times, I don't believe that's the way it's built. That's not the way the Ravens want to do it. But I think we've discovered there's different ways to do this. I'm just not sure what Baker Mayfield is. I just don't feel like he's the number one overall guy or the force to be reckoned with in the way that I do other guys. And maybe I'm wrong. I mean, how many people were wrong about Drew Brees all those years, right? Like, because of his size and because of all the intangible part of this. But you've seen many, many years with these picks. Like, I sort of got where you were coming from with Cam Newton or Jameis Winston or even Joe, give me his last name, the Bengals, Burrow. The latest, I mean, obviously Peyton Manning and some of the other people, we can judge that 20 years later. Tim Couch, he was a consensus 1-1, right? I don't know that everybody would have taken Baker Mayfield had they had that. Matter of fact, I'm not sure a lot of teams would have taken him with the 1-1.
Yeah, but again, it's a quarterback-hungry, quarterback-starved league, and you've got to take your chances, right? And Lamar Jackson, for me, he's a phenomenal talent, and What we saw Monday night was him at his best, right? He's attacking the line of scrimmage, and he forces the linebackers and safeties and defensive backs to come up, which allows the receivers to get behind the coverage. And to me, that's when he's most dangerous, when he's attacking. It looks like Greg Roman's taken off the restraints from him at the right time at the end of the year. And when you unleash him, and he's very healthy this time of the year, he can make those receivers look a lot better, and he can make your defense look very silly, right? And this game, the way he started, Nestor, was like Cleatgate, right? The cleats.
Oh,
We were all losing our minds. I saw your tweets out there. It was unfathomable that a professional football team wouldn't be prepared and have the right size cleats.
well,
Back
Trace McSorley may have ended his career,
oh my
literally,
God,
right? Like,
absolutely.
literally.
But back in the day, we had those screw-on cleats, right? You had the shorter one, the longer one. I'm thinking surely there must be an answer to keep the players from sliding all over the place, right? So this game had a lot of elements to it. But again, going back to Lamar Jackson and what he presents, which is a ton of problems for the defense, and I'm certainly glad that we have him for the stretch runs over a player like Baker Mayfield.
I like your Red Coons Ford swag. It looks good. I mean, you have a lot of
Appreciate it.
colors. I've seen you in purple. I've seen you in blue. Right? You don't adopt any color there. It's just as you put the logo on. I mean, I guess my
The
Baltimore
shield.
Positive, I put it on black because it kind of pops. But I guess it could look good on red. I guess, right?
It could. It's a wonderful, wonderful logo, and I would encourage you to put it on different colors, just like reminds me of Taharka ice cream for some reason. That just popped into my mind.
Well, I mean, it's because it's all around me is probably why. Happy holidays. I will join you a little later on in the week. I would say it'll be nice to get back to the 1 o'clock Sunday thing, right? Like we all sort of prefer that as opposed to the up all night and me doing JT the Brick Show at, after midnight and watching Zoom press conferences of excitement. But that one had it all. And these next 3 weeks, I hope it's a little bit more low-level buzz and good thoughts about how this team can start to peak at the right time, right? This is the right time. This is the time to go win a Super Bowl.
No doubt about it. And we've seen this movie before, Nestor. It's not the best team that wins. It's a team that gets healthy at the end of the year. They get hot. They figure it out. They get momentum heading into the playoffs. That's a team that can make noise. And as Ray Lewis used to say, it's a whole different season, right? It's a whole different ball game. The intensity level goes up, and everything is magnified, as you said so earlier in our segment.
60-minute ball game. We're getting ready for Jacksonville, 1 o'clock on Sunday. Dennis will be here from 3 until 5 on Thursday. He's selling cars over Coons Ford Security Boulevard. You hear him here. And, of course, he'll get you ready for the game on Sunday morning as we will have the Koulatsos Show, as it's called out on Twitter, and the Dennis Koulatsos Show here at WNST. Dan, rest up, man. Ice up, son, as Steve Smith would say. We'll see you on Sunday. Short rest this week.
Be well, Nestor. Thank you.
You can find me, Nasty, at WNST.net anytime, anywhere. Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, anywhere the internet serves you, including ice cream, $15.70 off when you deliver the holiday 8-pack. Give it as a gift. Be generous. It's $40. Baltimore Positive's the code. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop.